Hello, faithful listeners. It's creator of Spirit Box Radio, Pippin here. If you have any questions for me about the show so far, we'll be holding a little Q&A. The question box is linked in the description of this episode. It's already open and will be staying open for 2 weeks, closing on the 29th of April at midnight UK time. You can send questions just for me, which will be answered in a Q&A episode, which will come out in a few weeks' time, or you can ask more general questions for the cast, which will be aired in a separate episode in a few weeks' time. I'm really looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say. Before I go though, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about the Hanging Sauce Studios Patreon. The mid-season break is actually a great time to sign up because I've just started uploading Spirit Box Radio bonus stories. These will be going up every few weeks and will be supplemental to canon information. There won't be anything plot revealed in them, but there will be plenty of character moments. Here's a part of a brand new bonus story which will be going live just after this episode does, called The Life and Deaths of Oliver Berlin, High Seas, Volume 1. Salt in the air, seagulls cawing as they careened through the skies. There was much risk to find silk garments at sea, Oliver Berlin had come to learn. It was the middle of the day and the blistering sun was at its highest point in the sky. The ship's cats lay draped under the shadow of the cannon. Heat lines rising from the dark metal of the cannon's barrel made the deck hazy beyond as Oliver dozed beside a cracked open crate of lemons. The heat was beginning to get to them. Another day and they'd be inedible. But right now, the whole deck was filled with the sweet scent of hot citrus, which was doing a marvellous job of disguising the frankly hideous smell of the rest of the crew. Any sign of the coast? Captain Calico's voice made Oliver startle into alertness. At a glance, Calico Jack was not an intimidating man. He dressed almost as well as Oliver did, except for his insistence on carrying an extra flintlock, which completely ruined the line of his coat. Nothing yet, Oliver replied, sitting up. He took out his seeing glass and saw Jack's eyes flash with interest. Oliver knew Jack was desperate to get his hands on it, so he could understand how it was that Oliver seemed able to see ships and shores Jack's own much larger class failed to spot. By now, though, Jack knew better than to cross Oliver. He'd seen him stabbed in ways that ought to have been fatal one too many times to risk challenging him directly, and despite his panache, Jack was not a particularly skilled pickpocket. Oliver was tempted to show Jack what the world looked like through the seeing glass, to show him the shimmering lines of the arcane, how each trembling thread connected to so many others, how to trace the lines from the sea back to ships carried on currents too deep to be felt beneath the ship's hull, long before they were visible on the horizon. "We should have been in eyeline of Nassau last night," said Jack, squinting across the water. The sea was preternaturally still, and the air hung heavy and flat, sails unmoving and just as heavy above them. "Do you want me to get out and push?" asked Oliver. If you want to read the rest, you can do so over at patreon.com/Hanging Sauce Studios. And you'll also be able to read the first bonus story, A Vignette of Sam Enfield, which went up last week. Stories won't always be weekly, but they'll be going up regularly. And supporting us on Patreon means I can keep making the show. And you'll also be able to get access to a bunch of other exciting stuff, like our Patreon behind-the-scenes show, Hanging with the Sloths, fortnightly creators notes when new episodes are airing, Discord benefits, and a guarantee that I will definitely answer your Q&A question. Don't forget that the Q&A box is linked in the description of this episode, and it will be open for 2 weeks until the 29th of April 2022. That's all I have for you today. I hope you have a chance to do something nice for yourself. Stay spooky, folks.
Tune in, get spooky.
Are you alone? Are you sure? Anyone could be watching, waiting. You wouldn't know, would you? No, of course you wouldn't.
Still smoking, I see.
Still acting like I give a damn about your opinion.
There's nobody here. Nobody here, just my imagination.
Look, you either need to leave me alone or show yourself, because I'm not doing this.
You don't even know what's coming. Don't worry. I promise in the end, it will be quick.
You really don't see anything wrong with making a Coke and Mentos volcano in the dorm bathroom. Really?
No.
Nope.